IGN.com. I'm here with Ken. Ken, how are you?
Hold
today?
from combo.
I'm very excited because you just told me
Big
about
Ted
the
Arkin,
pricing model for Killer Instinct on Xbox One.
I want the 8 characters. What do I do? Well, you give us $20. You get the 8 characters. There's a bunch of unlocks.
The hell? What's up, folks? Maximilian here, and we finally have been presented with the latest bit of Killer Instinct info, and shockingly enough, it's about how much the game costs. Now, as you can tell from my initial reaction, it is a little bit weird. It's not what I was expecting at all. So let me just get down to it, because I want to talk about what the hell is actually going on with the pricing of Killer Instinct, the different packages that are available, how you can buy the game, and kind of what the future plans are for the game. So let's quickly discuss what the hell is going on with the pricing of Killer Instinct.
Maybe you want to give us $40, and then you get the 8 characters, but you also get some very unique skins, including some of the original looks, but also some that they're just so cool. I'm going to let Double Helix explain them as they come. But you'll also get a nice little special present. You'll get emulated Killer Instinct 1.
Scenario number 1, and the one that I think everyone should pretty much partake in, is the $20 price point. For you guys that don't understand, $20 for the original or the new Killer Instinct game is going to now get you the full title, and that full title is going to have 8 characters. For $40, you get all 8 characters. You get, from what I understand, skins, like different character models that will more resemble the Killer Instinct 1 characters, which I want to see what those look like. And then other things between, like little bonuses, like they said accessories. I don't know exactly what that means. And the big one, the kicker, is a game that has not seen a faithful arcade port in 17 years. And that's Killer Instinct 1. You will actually get Killer Instinct 1 available. Killer Instinct 1 will not have online. However, it was said that from Ken Lobb, the guy who's the creative director, made the original Killer Instinct, that they want to put online into this game, that eventually they're going to be working on it. And this is kind of a reoccurring theme with a lot of the stuff that's been announced today, that they are working on it. Mostly because the $20 version, which is the full game, or the game that is available at release, will actually not have story mode. That story mode is coming a little bit later. More so the fact that not just the full story mode is coming a little bit later, but there's only going to be 6 available characters at launch, and then 2 more are coming after. I've heard conflicting reports that these 2 more might be coming in like February, that they might be coming in March or January, and some have even said soon after release from some Microsoft guys that I've actually heard voice communications with at Gamescom. So I really don't know when those other characters are coming, but there's guaranteed 6 at launch, and that kind of had me like, what the hell? Like 6 characters at launch? Really? Okay, and I was kind of thinking like my expectations. I was expecting like the entire full character roster from the first game. I was expecting maybe 1 or 2 characters from the second Killer Instinct game, you know, and I was expecting hopefully a few original characters. Like, that's like 15 characters, and I was expecting that for a modern age fighting game at release. However, the price point is what made me have to rethink all this stuff. It's only $20, and for $20 at 8 characters total, that's $2.50 a character. So that's not a bad deal at all. Sure, I want more, but I think what I was kind of disappointed with was my expectations. Like, I was expecting them to put all these characters into the game so we could see them immediately, and it was like, if they keep announcing characters at this rate, we're not going to see very much, you know? It's going to be 1 here, 1 there. They're going to have to, like slam out a whole bunch, like, immediately, but it makes more sense, especially considering when I got to talk to the developers at E3, from the interviews that I've seen online, and a lot of them have said that the development cycle for Killer Instinct, from what I understand, seemed to have started like late last year. Now, for you guys that don't understand where we are in time and space, that's less than a freaking year. And that's a very, very, very short amount of time. It really seems like Double Helix isn't in charge as far as like how this stuff is being set up, that it's really Microsoft. Like, it seems like Microsoft were the ones that really want Killer Instinct to be like a launch game. Unlike that list of, do you got a shooter? Well, do you got another shooter? Add another shooter, and then add a sports game. We need a racing game. We need like this sort of game for kids. We gotta have a Connect game. We also need like some weird obscure Japanese game, which is Crimson Dragon. And then you also need a fighting game, or they presumed that we can actually stick in Killer Instinct to be an Xbox One launch game. The reason I'm saying this is because Ken also went on in this IGN interview to not just talk about what's happening in Season 1. Season 1 is all 8 characters, they get 8 stages, and if you buy the $40 version, you get KI1, like we were saying, the costumes, the accessories, all that fancy jazz. And the story mode is also coming a little bit later, with probably the other characters. What's interesting to me is that He talked about the second season. That's season 1 is an 8-character game. Now season 2 is where it gets interesting. He kind of described it as in like the exact same process. Like we do the same thing all over again, what we did with the first round 1 or season 1, whatever they're calling it for Killer Instinct. Like they release more characters, like 8 more characters, like a similar package, all 8 stages. I don't know, like they're saying something very similar, so I'm going to assume potentially 8 more characters, 8 more stages.
As long as it takes us to make season 2, probably second holiday, sooner if we get the way we're shooting for. And those characters aren't a separate game. It's not another Jago. It's all new characters playable in the same ecosystem as the original 8.
Periodically update season 2 to give you every character as it's available, just like they're doing with season 1. So this is more like the guys didn't have that much time to work on the game. And they could have made it like a 20 character fighting game within a year. You could have done that. You could have added stage finishers and could have added fatalities and, you know, all the other stuff that we've been really asking for. Or they could have focused on the stuff that's really important, which is like how the game feels and how the game plays with like the matchups and the characters. And every time I've talked to them about like, is there any chance we're going to see stage finishers? Is there any chance like fatalities might make it in? Or these other little small things that are very KI-ish but aren't really prevalent so far in the new game? They said every single time right now we're really focusing on the gameplay, which is why we're doing things like bringing the game out to so many public events and getting feedback from people, because we want to make sure that the core is really good. That's every single time I've talked to any one of the developers trying to get a different response from any one of the guys. They've said the exact same thing, that they want to make sure the gameplay is really good. Now for a lot of people like myself, I was a little worried at this, and then I realized that, well, the next characters hopefully are coming pretty soon. Whatever else they're planning on adding into the game should be coming fairly soon, because I think they were explaining that season 1 and all of its content should be available by like early 2013, and then by the time 2014 rolls around this similar time at the end of or middle of 2014, that we'd actually have a whole bunch more characters, like 8 more, and there could even be a huge swoop of other shit that's added to the game, which sounds really freaking cool to me. That's the big thing I keep realizing after I've heard everything that's happened since E3, from the developers, from interviews, from all the knowledge that's been released about the game, is that it seems that Double Helix is like kind of trying their hardest to make the core game as good as possible, so they have like a foundation. That's what it seems like, but Microsoft really, really, really wants the game to be a launch title. So with $20 you get the full game. You get Killer Instinct. It's 8 characters, 8 stages, probably has online story mode, will be there within a couple of months, I hope. And then within season 2, which seems like it's already a possibility because of what Ken said in an interview, that season 2 is going to be like more of the same, more characters, more gameplay adjustments and stuff like that. And that's what had me pretty excited, because it's funny when a lot of people are comparing like fighting games that just come out, and then we need like big character rosters, got to be 20 to 40 characters. That's what almost everything launches with nowadays, right? There is one more pricing model that they were mentioning, which is the fact that you can now purchase individual characters, that you can download Jago for free, and you can get $5 characters. If you don't want to buy the whole freaking game for $20, you can spend $5 a pop on each character. So after 4 characters, that doesn't make any sense. You should have bought the full game. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. But $20 is so cheap already as it is that you should just get it, and you get that entitled game. Now what a lot of people are already mentioning is the fact that the game isn't released. Why release it? This is crazy. This is ridiculous. And I can kind of see where a lot of people are coming from. Like I was in the same boat for about an hour or so when I was reading this news and information. I was just like, what? Why would they just make it not a launch game and just let it sit in the oven for another few months or something like that? And it really seems like MS is focused on this being a launch game, that it has to be within the launch window, and that's the way it's got to go.
So basically we grow the game over time. Theoretically, for as long as we have a platform, we could keep making full seasons or individual characters over the years to come, and have one robust ecosystem for the Killer Instinct fighting community.
So it's kind of like an upgraded fighting game, an upgradable fighting game. And they mentioned this, that it's going to be, Ken Lobb mentioned that it's going to be a platform. They're trying to create a platform, kind of like a design platform for this game that can be continuously updated. At least that's what it seems like to myself. They haven't officially announced that, other than the fact that it is a platform. And I could see that hopefully working. The problem with a lot of fighting games is that you got to get people like at the start. You got to like bring them in as soon as the game comes out to try to get their attention. And it's a little worrisome that there's only 6 characters at the start. However, I am hopeful. We don't know who the other 2 characters are, other than the fact that it's Jago, Saberwolf, Chief Thunder, and and Glacius. Well, how did I forget? So we got 2 more, and I wouldn't be surprised if 2 more for launch and then 2 more soon after. That Orkin and Fulgor have to be in there, like, right? Like, they have to be in there in some regard. I hope that they're both available for launch, but they've also been mentioning a lot of stuff about, like, original characters and other characters that might not have been in Killer Instinct before, so who knows when they're going to show up. That might be Season 2 stuff. But in the long run, I see where a lot of people are upset, where it's like, why only a 6-character fighting game? As it's this weird upgradable thing that we're not used to. We're getting the whole full package. $20 is where it all comes down. Like, it pretty much breaks down to the fact, yo, dude, the game is 20 bucks. If you want to have the full game and you're really upset that the full package isn't available right at launch, I would say consider the fact that it's only been in development for like, what, 9-10 months? And also the fact that if you want that, you can have that. Like, from what it appears to myself, that they're giving us everything that they have available right now, because they've been working on the core game, like the actual game mechanics, so much for pretty much since E3, and they're trying to get that balanced as hard as possible, it seems. Especially based off the last event that happened at Killer Instinct Fridays at Super Arcade. So based on that, they seem to be focusing a lot on the game so that they can release these characters and not have like huge problems as they get released, I would hope. And then over time, I would assume by, who knows, like maybe fall of 2014, Killer Instinct will be a game that has 16 characters potentially, has 16 stages, has online, a story mode, the training mode that we've only been hearing about lately that we haven't seen, all this other crazy stuff between like colored costumes and character skins and models that are totally different than other ones, accessories. So it sounds like a pretty big, fully fleshed out fighting game by that point. I only hope that by that point, if you buy all that stuff, it's going to be around, if you stick to the game itself, just the game and not all the extra like snazzy stuff, it's 40 bucks. 40 bucks for stages, characters, online story, usual fighting game pizzazz. And then after that point, I would really hope that maybe by the end of 2014, that if the game is popular enough, that it gets a physical release. That would probably make me really happy to see the game in a physical release of some kind. Let me know what you guys think about that. And I also think that what's really important is probably going to be our feedback. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if by the time Season 1 comes out and we know all the characters that are involved, all 8 characters, and they're gearing up for like this Season 2 thing, that by the time Season 2 happens, they start taking more like polls. Because they did the polls for characters that we would like to see in Season 1, or the launch version of Killer Instinct, and they're probably going to have a poll for the characters that are going to be showing up in Season 2. Now, based off my personal opinion, I want every single character from the first Killer Instinct to be in it. I would like to see maybe 2 characters that were not in KI1 from KI2, like maybe, I would say Maya and Tusk. No, hell with Maya. I'd say Kim Woo and Tusk. Maya was the one I didn't like very much. Sorry, Maya fans, she sucks. But in general, I would like there to be a full big game with new characters that we haven't seen before, with all this stuff and all these bells and whistles. I only hope that that is eventually available and it's given to us as soon as it's ready, because I think that that's kind of cool. Like, the game could have been not a launch title. It could have been released in literally September 2014, but at least we get to play it. Like, at least we still get something, because especially after like E3 and Comic-Con, and especially with the whole bunch that I got to play recently at Killer Instinct Fridays, dude, I want to just play more of the game. And it's hard to describe to people, like, when you play a fighting game and how it feels and how it just flows and how you get it and it just makes sense, and it's like, holy crap, I just want more. I just want to play more. It's hard to describe that to people, so not a lot of people understand like why I'm really jazzed about KI, because not so many have played it. And if you actually run into some guys that have played it, everybody that I've spoken to is like, yo, dude, yeah, we gotta go find a way to play it. And all the guys that are at all these events are the same guys that come from ridiculous locations just to play the game over and over again. I don't know if it's the fact that they're old Killer Instinct fans or they're new to the game or what, but they feel the same thing I do, is that when you touch it and you feel the characters and you feel how the combat is, it's fun. It's fun, which is why I want the most out of the game as soon as possible. So I only hope that we see frequent updates as far as this season stuff. 20 bucks is an amazing price point. 40 bucks for KI1 is a big bait for a lot of dudes. We've never ever seen a faithful port of the first Killer Instinct on a home console. It doesn't exist. For guys like me that use things like emulation and other things that are able to get us to play the first Killer Instinct, that's cool, but that's a small majority. A lot of you guys especially have never ever even seen Killer Instinct 1 run in front of you in like 60 frames a second because you've only seen it in videos. And this is a good opportunity to kind of enjoy the old game. I only hope that they eventually add online to it, so I hope that makes sense to you guys, because it was a little like jarring, like what the hell is going on with all this pricing, like information like flew at my face and I didn't even know what to think of it, and it literally took me an hour to process everything, what was exactly going on, because I thought Killer Instinct for like the first 30 minutes was a 6-character fighting game, and I was like, what? Like, no, there's why not just a 10-character fighting game? Just give us the first cast. And I was really confused, but then I learned they're coming. They're just going to be available when they're done, so we might have to wait a little bit longer. But in that same regard, wait till 2014 to play the full game, or play like a kind of like early version of the game with balanced characters, I hope, and gameplay that'll actually suit a lot of what we like about KI. And I can already tell you right now that the game is definitely Killer Instinct. You try to play Killer Instinct, this new one, like Street Fighter or any other fighting game from the current era, you will get ripped up really fast, and you will be shocked by how differently you have to play this game compared to other fighting games. It's something that's much different, and it's much different than the zoning type of fighting games that you really are used to, especially within modern fighters. So all I'm saying is that stick with it, and we'll see what happens. As soon as the game comes out, I'll try to give you guys more coverage. And with all this Gamescom stuff happening, I'm going to try to get as much Chief Thunder information and footage as I possibly can, because as you can possibly see, I'm not in Germany right now. Surprise! Thanks very much for watching, guys, and stay tuned. I'll be back as soon as possible with more information about Chief Thunder and anything else that has come from Gamescom. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to go back to sleep.